Good morning, students. Whether the PPT is visible? Students, can you see the PPT on the screen? Students, can you see my PPT on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
வாங்க என்னடா Right, so yesterday we started with retailing and wholesaling, right? So this is, of course, an activity that is carried out by the intermediation, right? In the intermediation or in the mediating function, mostly the retailing process as well as the wholesaling process is taking place, and also that we came to know about. Why that the retailers are very important, that in the sense what is the role that is played by the retailers in order to distribute the products from the producers up to the consumers, right? And also the role has to be understood. Apart from that, we also have to understand about what is the types of retailers existing with, right? So in that juncture, we saw that retailing, what sort of activity that retailers perform, or we are very mainly concerned about the retailing, and therefore the retailing process is taking place by the retailer. So in that juncture, understanding about the retailing and the retailer, we see about the retailer, or retailing to be activities that are being included in selling the products and services directly to the final consumers for their personal and non-personal use. Right, very important one. Two important things have been included here. One is it is being directly sold to the final consumers. Right, so final consumers are only the destination of the retailing process. At the same time, as it is the final consumers, or as it is the consumer market, the consumption happens for the personal as well as non-business use, right? So the business use, or for the reproduction, or maybe for reselling, whatever reason, if the objective is there by the organization, they may not fall into this retailing. So two important aspects. One is direct away, it is going to the consumers, and for the personal as well as non business use. And the retailers, of course, are the people who are carrying out such primary activities for the retailing. So this is how that we try to understand. And we also said in retailing that you nowadays it can be seen as shopper marketing as well as omni channeling retailing. So shopper market, of course, we are really looking into where the buyers are like approaching the point of sale, or they are coming into the point of sale, and maybe it is in store or online or mobile shopping. The point is ultimately the buyers are coming to the point of sale. But omni-channeling retailing, of course, this is the same thing, but it's not necessary for them to come for the physical interactions of physical exchange, right? In that way, we try to also explore into what types of retailers that we can come across, right? So this is not easier for us to understand for the reason that there are different types of, or different numbers, rather than numbers, different characters of retailers are available. So for our easy understanding, we have divided them into different categorizations, right? So first to be amount of service, then product line, then relative price, as well as the organizational approach. This is how that classification is made. So if you take the first classification, that to be amount of service classification, here we can come across three types or three different retailer. One to be self-service people, self-service retailer, limited service retailer, and full service retailer, that we have already talked about that in our last lecture. Self-service, of course, most of the activities are being performed by the consumer, or by the person who is buying the product does, right? So this is reducing about the distribution cost for the retailers, since that they themselves will do many of the activities, and it's easier, no need for them to spend people on a one-to-one basis, right? So they will be on their own, right, doing about their shopping, right, without any problem. But if there is any issues arising over, they may be approaching the respective people. Until that, they are left on their own. That is self-service, right? Limited service retailers, of course, these people are going to provide some services. Mostly, this is information services that they are providing with, right? And of course, regarding of the choices of the product, right, or to have about the selection of certain brands, right? the retailers are providing some information. Not only that, even some extended services also they may be providing, but not in a lengthier way, right? So that is why that we call them as a limited services. Then the full service retailers, of course, this is of course opposite or different from the self service classification that we saw. Self service, of course, entirely the consumers are looking into their activities, but here, full service retailers, of course, they are helping the consumers in every phases, right? Here the cost involved on doing about such activities by the retailers is very much higher, and therefore they will be charging such a cost from the consumers themselves, right? So these are three that we can see or we can come across uh, depending or not actually depending under the categorization of amount of services, right? And the other one that we saw about to be the product line. So in the product line, again you see there are a number of varieties of retailers coming under if you take. So it is depending on the product line. Now, specialty stores, of course, they are not concentrating on many varieties, only one or it may be few, right? As an example, earlier also we said it can be the shoe stores or it can be the garments or it can be the flowers or whatever, right? So only one variety, rather than variety, one particular product line is being considered here. So therefore, the product lines are being carried out by these retailers will be very much minimal, right? But of course, within that product lines, there is many items, right? So if you take about the garments, then you can see there is male garments, female garments, children, adults, and if you take adults also, there are different varieties available. It can be for ladies, it can be saris or frocks or skirt and blouse or like many now, right? Different names are being given, right? So that is available. If you take males, kurta is there, again, shirts, pants, and whatever, right? So there are many lengthier items that we can be seeing about, right? So that is, of course, the specialty stores. Departmental stores, there is more varieties, but not in a very extensive way, but really for the consumers, that is a convenient one for the reason that when they come into a particular departmental stores, that they can get many things that they really wanted with, right? So many varieties. So there is more product line which is being carried out, right? And in the departmental stores, mainly that they are handling the consumers with a lower price, right? Then the supermarkets, of course, same as the departmental stores, but it is in a larger scale, right? And of course, there are many, like what you call many products, varieties which are being available, right? Even it can be the combination of these two, right? Specialty stores as well as the departmental stores. Supermarkets, of course, provide a very extensive varieties. More assortments are being handled by the supermarket retailers. There is also superstores, right? Superstores, of course, is more than the supermarkets, but of course that they are dealing with different varieties of products, and more of their concern is giving about in discounts, giving about the products in discounts. So there may be vouchers or there may be some bundling, right? Many promotional activities are being involved in order to attract or induce the consumers to visit those stores and do about the purchase, right? And the other category called a category killer. Where in the category killers, what that they really do about is, rather than having a categories, right? They are what do you call, overlapping the categories. In the sense, many things will be available, right? Not and very frequently purchasing products are available. So they look into what is, of course, the consumable items. That is, what is very frequently consumed by the consumers, right? So those type of products they get into, and they try to distribute that. not not that they specifically wanted certain categories to be considered with. So that's why that we call them as category killers. Then coming about the service retailers, in the service retailers, of course, these people are providing services. So as an example, you can see insurance, airlines, banks, hotels, motels, theaters, whatever, right? So these people are really providing about the services for the consumers. So in that way, from the product, these service retailers are said to be different. But anyway, according to the product line, the services is what that they are providing with, right? Now coming into the third category, that is being the relative price, right? So based on the relative price, there are also number of what do you call, people or retailers can be identified, right? One to be the discount stores, other one to be the off-price retailers, factory outlets, and warehouse clubs, right? Now, what is meant by these discount stores are, right? These people, right, get off the standardized products, right, and sell them at a lower prices by accepting the lower margins, right? So it is not a, I mean, what do you call, more of profit margins and earning about more income. Of course, their objective is also to earn about more income, but by having the prices as lower as the consumers can afford, and they may be increasing the quantity that is purchased by quantity increment, or increasing about the quantity purchase, right? They are trying to attain their objectives, that is the income to be generated, right? So this is what that we can talk about the discount stores, right? Yeah, there may be an independent off-price retailers also, right? So where they are independently owned and run, or are divisions of a larger retail corporations, right? In some instances, I mean, if there is like a big chains that you would have come across, right? So in all the district, those are available at the same time. Even international wise, this is available now. For an example, these franchise ones, right? So it is available everywhere, right? So therefore, they may be functioning as independent people, franchisor, franchisee. Okay, so by franchisee, they may be, functioning as an independent people, and they may also have about the same, what do you call, strategies that are being undertaken by the discount stores, right? So this is discount stores, and of course, right? So this is what off-price retailers they are. Right? Factory outlets, of course, they are owned by the manufacturer themselves, right? And of course, since it is being what you call operated by the organization itself, there may be less cost involved with, or the prices wise also there may be less price, right? Most of the time that we say, if you visit to the factory or if you go to the production site, you can get the thing in a lower prices, right? Now, for the reason that they need not to store it, or they need not to transport it, they need not to find out the consumer. So there are other costs also which may get accumulated with the prices when it is coming from the company itself or from the factory outlet itself, right? So rather than the cost to be increased by having a distributor, here the factory themselves or the factory itself will be having about the outlets. So that type of retailers, only the factory outlets are being sold in those retailing points, right? The other one to be the warehouse clubs. Of course, this is not much here, but anyway, this is also one variety we have about, right? What happens here is, now there is a what do you call, membership, right? Where that you have to get into members of these clubs. So it is like a club functioning, right? So you have to get a membership of these clubs. Because of having the membership, that the prices may be being reduced to it, right? So that is how these warehousing clubs are working. Then coming into the organizational approach, right? So it can be what is the organization, what you call structure that is involved in doing about this retailing aspects, right? So it can be the corporate chains or voluntary chains and retailer cooperatives and franchise organization, right? Now, see, if it is a corporate chain, this is how it is being said. Here, two or more outlets that are commonly owned and control, right? Only two or three, right? Not many, which is being owned by a particular organization, right? The corporate chains, as such, will be mostly in all types of retailing, right? But this type of corporate chain is mostly found in the departmental stores as well as discounted stores, food stores, drug stores, as well as in the restaurant, right? So corporate chain, of course, only few is being owned, not many. That is, we call it as a corporate chain, as a structure, right? Voluntary chain, of course, here. Voluntary chain, of course, we are the wholesaler sponsored group of independent retailers, right? I mean, retailers are being sponsored by the wholesalers. So, wholesalers will be having their respective people, thank you, respective people. Ishwara. So, they will be owning. Rather than owning, these wholesalers will be having about some people who are working for them, right? So no need for them to have about any what you call membership or any sort of cost bearing one, but they themselves will be looking after the cost that is incurring in the retailer side, right? So that is called as a voluntary chain. Then there may be retailer cooperatives. So here, independent retailers who will be jointly having about what you call an association or collaboratively working with each other, right? So where that they may be involved in central buying, right? So if many people are grouped into they can purchase, they can bargain, and they can make the prices also very less, right? So that is, we call it as a retailer cooperative. And coming into the last one, that to be the franchise organization. We know what is meant by franchise organizations, where that the main will be in some country, but of course they are having a chain in the international arena, right? So they may be a franchisor and searching one person as a franchisee within the local market or within the particular country, right? So they give about the license, and based on the license, these people can be producing and distributing. So that is also one type of an organization that we may be able to see about. Right. So again, detail it is been given. Organizational approach, corporate chains, two or more outlets that are commonly owned and controlled by the particular organization. Voluntary chains, the wholesaler sponsored independent retailers are there. Retailer cooperatives, independent retailers are put together, or they set up a joint venture, and through that the operations are being carried out. Franchises are association which is having about a contractual agreement with the franchisor and the franchisee. Right. So the first one that we have seen, what is the role, or what sort of activities which are being performed, or what is the importance of the retailer, and what types of retailers are available. Now, secondly, we are speaking about what sort of, regarding of the retailers, what are the marketing decisions that they are making about, right? Now, in order to create value for the target, right, or for the targeted retailer customers, that is, since it is the responsibility of the retailers, right, finding about. So, what are the retailing strategies, marketing strategies that they are involved with? So, one can be the retail strategy, other one to be the retail marketing mix. In the retail strategy, actually, what that we have already seen. So, as the segmentation and targeting take place, and of course, the store differentiation and the positioning is also taking place, right? So for that, they are using about the product and the service assortment, the retail prices, promotions, and the distribution. If you just move into a little bit detailing retailer marketing decision. So segmenting, targeting, differentiation, and positioning, which is very important, because now the retailer's responsibility is to deal with the consumers directly. So they have to identify the consumers, and for that, the segmentation, targeting, and the differentiation is very important. And their store has to be different. Earlier in the marketing perspective, we were talking about how you can differentiate your product and services from the competitors. Now, here in the retailer, we have to differentiate and position the retailer store, right? Because the retailer will be having many assortment of products, right? And not only confined to one organization, it is many, and therefore, in their perspective, that would be the store, right? How the store will be differentiated and positioned with, right? And for that, they wanted many, like what do you call, many elements regarding of marketing. So mainly, they are very much concerned about the product assortment, how many product lines that they are going to run with, and the service mix, right? So, I mean, this is of course really services that they are providing for the consumers, right? As a representative of the manufacturers, right? So, we have to also be concerned with the service mix and also the store atmosphere, like how the store is convenient for the consumers to visit and purchase and also spend about their time very productively, right? Price decision, which that they have to make about very often, right? They have the independence of fixing about the final price, not necessarily the price that is being quoted by the manufacturers, right? So depending on the market positioning, product service assortment, competition, and economical factors, so, right? Pricing can be made. So sometimes it may be high markup on lower value and lower markup on higher value, right? So if the assortments that are not able to be sold in large quantity, that is what we call it as a lower volume. So for this we have to have high margin, because we know the quantity that is required with is not very it is not very high, right? In the sense, now certain products are there. Now, if you take it as luxury products, not that all are going to consume them, right? So for that we can have high markups. But if there are higher values, then of course we can have a lower markup. So if higher markups are being taken, then the prices will be higher. Lower markups are being taken when the prices would be lower. So by having lower prices, that you can have a higher volume, right? So that is for the pricing decision. And even we have seen about these two pricing method, EDLP, everyday low pricing, and higher lower pricing. So everyday low pricing, that we are charging about the lower prices in a constant way, right? And therefore we may not be expecting of larger discounts, or larger discounts cannot be expected by the consumers. High lower pricing, of course, higher prices you may be charging, but of course there is very frequent discounts that can be expected, right? Promotional decision. So these are the things that we will be studying in our last chapter. Advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, public relation, and direct marketing, right? So which is of course we can start by next week time, right? So each of these has to be really taken into for the promotion of the particular organization. Then place decision, of course, whether that we are going to have about the central business district, right? So where that we can establish the departmental or specialty stores or banks or whatever. Maybe shopper center, right? So this maybe what do you call, like a mall, where many of the people will get together, that is the retailers will get together and sell their products there. Okay. And what are the major trends and development happen here, right? So you can see consumer spending has been very much less, right? So patterns of the consumers have changed, right? And therefore, there is higher benefits some of the retailers are getting, but in some products, of course, spending had been considerably high. So therefore, that the benefits that the retailers are getting would be very much higher. And some instances where that they are struggling with of able to sell about their products or services. So that is the latest trend, because we know there is many crises or where the customers are unable to or they are not having the enough of purchasing power to have their purchases secured with. And so therefore there is some retailers are not being able to not being able to get their benefits as such, right. And also there are shortening of retail life cycles where that the people may not be able to run the businesses in a very constant way. And retail convergence, right. So here it is about taking together all of them, right. And how that they have the coverage of many parts by dealing with many retailers or whatever, right. Mega retailers, right, had been also nowadays being about the trend, right. So many retailers are having about the collaborations, like it may be the specialty stores or the superstores or maybe the supermarkets, right. So they are having or they are coming into a VAM system, right, the vertical marketing system, and they may have about what do you call some ownership transfers also, right. In some instances it can be the mergers and the acquisitions also, right. So each of them are being purchased or each of them are getting merged with, right. So this is giving about a good information system and also the buying power. Huh? In ഇതിലിനിയാ നമ്മുടെ ബോർഡ് വാങ്ങിയ. Okay, students, I'll just wind up. There is a meeting, I suppose. Right, so we will meet, if possible, on Monday as well as Tuesday. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.